New York Times correspondent Jodi Kantor covered the controversy surrounding Donald Trump's 2005 tape. In a new article headlined, "Was it a depressing week in politics for women or a satisfying one?" In it, she wrote, "The first female president may end up owing some of the margin of her victory to outrage about male lechery. And all these years later, sex-related scandal appears to have become a Clinton strength." Jodi is also a CBS News contributor. Good morning.
Good morning.
You know, as we were going into the debate on Sunday night, that was one of the thoughts we thought about, that the treatment of women has now become the centerpiece of a discussion in this campaign.
Yes, and in response, do we say, I can't believe we're still having this conversation all these years later? Do we still need to litigate the basic respect with which women are treated? But on the other hand, it seems like a really important national conversation based on the way people are responding. There's a unanimity to this conversation that seems almost unique, right? How many other national moments can you remember where basically everybody has stood up and said, this is really not okay?
And why is that?
And your point is also that Hillary Clinton has been at the center of this for more years than anybody.
Now, granted, this was a very favorable position for her to be in politically, but you have to wonder if some part of her getting ready for the debate this weekend said, how many more national debates about male lechery can I find myself in the middle of?
And once again, it highlights all the problems that she has had in her marriage earlier. And no woman wants to relive that again in the public eye. That has got to be very, very difficult.
Well, my colleague, Sue Dominus, wrote, lots of women have had to confront evidence of potential wrongdoing by their husbands, affairs and whatnot. Has anybody ever had to do it while trying to look presidential?
No. Well, didn't she also pose the question, if our first female president is propelled into office in part by outrage about male sexual misbehavior, would you find that depressing or poetically satisfying?
And I find that women are very divided on that. One thing that should be noted, though, is that Trump's kind of long-threatened nuclear option, where he decided to confront Bill Clinton with allegations about his past, he tried to actually stage a confrontation between Bill Clinton and his accusers on Sunday night, went nowhere. It collapsed. It doesn't seem to have had a lot of impact at all.
It did get everybody talking about it, though. That stunt caused people to talk about that stunt rather than perhaps his performance or more details about the tape.
That's true. But, I think part of the reason it may not have been taken as seriously as he wanted is that it was so clearly done in the spirit of trying to erase his own problems from the tape that came out Friday night, that it didn't necessarily seem like an airing of fresh information.
But you have thoughts on why this one is resonating and maybe why this time it will finally stick that he is done?
Well, first of all, I think we need to look at the context, right? Which was, for a lot of Republicans, they saw that kind of the Trump candidacy was going nowhere good. He wasn't going to win. It was attracting a lot of negative attention. And in some ways, this tape provided the perfect excuse for anyone who wanted to get off the Trump train. It was like, okay, election day is several weeks away. This is your last chance to get off. But there was also, some people think it was the specific language that was in that tape, which was so incredibly offensive, the tone that suggested sexual assault. It seems to have finally been
about women. You and your colleagues, Jodi, said it was about white women that got people upset.
There's a very interesting piece in the Times today with the hypothesis that white women were finally a group that a mainstream politician could not attack. When you look at Latinos in society, when you look at immigrants, when you look at Muslims, these are all groups that potentially have less power. But white women are fundamentally, at some level, an establishment group.
Yeah. I think the hardest thing was when I heard a 9-year-old boy say to me that he'd learned two bad words from listening to Donald Trump yesterday, the P word and the B word.
There was a lot of debate about whether to let kids watch. A lot of us had told our kids that they could watch the debate days in advance. And then when this subject matter came up, we had to do some last-minute scrambling to decide whether that would be really okay. We sat down and we told our 10-year-old the Monica Lewinsky story on Sunday night so she would know ahead of whatever she heard during the debate.
Well, parents thought they would never have to censor a presidential debate or presidential conversation from their kids. Yeah. And now you have to do that.
Jodi, thanks so much.
Lots of interesting points.
The conversation continues.